parents. I am posting this video so that I can give you guys some insight into which each of the units of our IEW curriculum will consist of. So I'm going to go over Unit 1 and 2 today, and that is the units that we're going to be on for the next 2 weeks. And then when we move to Unit 3, in week 3, I will post another video giving you details to what that unit includes. So this will be kind of just a quick overview and a recap of each of the units. If you would like to go a little bit deeper, get a little more information, I do have the Andrew Pudwall videos, DVDs that you're welcome to borrow and watch those at your leisure, and you can get a little more information if you'd like. But this is just going to be kind of an overview, recap, telling you what we'll be discussing in class, maybe show this to your students to kind of reinforce the information if they need a little extra help, and always feel free to ask me any questions you may have. So Unit 1 and 2 are very similar, so I'll just kind of give a big overview of that. Unit 1 is note making and outlines. Unit 2 is writing from notes. So where you'll find some good information is using this guide, this book here. It's what we call the TWSS, the Teaching, Writing, Structure, and Style. So what I'm explaining in class to your students are when we're writing, we have to both introduce structure and style into our writing techniques. What that means is our structure, we have to have some type of a plan, a blueprint that we go off of, and that is what we're using as our keyword outline, our KWO, and that's what we're going to learn through Unit 1 and 2 is how to create a KWO. This is the foundation of this curriculum, is learning what this means and how to create one, because that's going to be the building block for all of the papers in each of the units. The structures will change as we change our writing choices and styles with the different units, whether it's a research paper or whether it's writing from pictures, but the overall idea of the KWO will stay the same. Then there's styles, which we call the stylistic techniques, and each week we'll introduce a new one of those. And that's where I was saying in my breakout session during orientation was, this is where I only want you to add a style each week if your child is ready. So we want to do what we call the easy +1 method. So once your child has mastered one of the dress ups that we call them, the style techniques, then they can add another one to their paper as they're ready. So each week we'll kind of add more and more, but you only go at your child's pace. If they're not ready to add those to their papers yet, please understand that they don't have to. We just want you to be working on what the style is and introducing that and adding it the best that you can into each of your papers. So that'll make sense here more in just a minute. Okay, so Unit 1 and 2 being the writing from notes. When we're writing a keyword outline, there are some rules to writing the keyword outline. Here are the rules. Number 1, you only use 3 words, okay? Only 3 words. You can use less than 3 words if you'd like, but you cannot use more than 3 words. That's the maximum. You can use symbols, abbreviations, numbers, and pictures, things like that. Those are what we call freebies, okay? You can have as many of the symbols, the numbers, abbreviations that you would like in your keyword outline. I'm going to provide you with some common symbols that can be used for your keyword outline. I believe in your writing and style, so your U.S. history-based writing lesson, I'm looking at the teacher's manual, which you can use at home, moms. But there are some suggestions for pictures and symbols in this as well on page 13. So page 13 has some examples for symbols. I will also be sending you on band a handout that will have some common use symbols. Your child may want to just create some of their own. They may be starting to use some of their same symbols. They may find some of their favorites that they'll want to use throughout the year, and that's fine. The key thing about symbols and drawings are, this is very important, you want this symbol to be able to be drawn faster than you could have written the word that it's representing. For instance, if the word is crown, you want to be able to draw the crown faster than you could if it was you are writing the word crown, okay? So these are not elaborate drawings, very detailed drawings. They are just very quick recaps of what that word means, okay? So we'll go over that. So number one rule is that there's only 3 words maximum. Number 2 is that symbols, abbreviations, and numbers are freebies. They're free. You can use as many of those as you'd like. Number 3 is each line, and this is specific for this unit only, but each line of your source text is going to be a line in your KWO. Okay, we'll explain that a little bit more here in a minute. And then the last rule is that you separate each with commas. Okay, so every letter, abbreviation, symbol, or word are going to be separated through with commas. Okay, so our goal is to understand the thought of a KWO and what it's trying to convey so that we can then you can use it to refer back to the source text. So we want to encourage students to participate in this process instead of just writing it down. We want, especially, this is your first year doing this, we want them to really understand the concept of what a KWO is. So if that means you have to practice a couple times before you're ready to actually write the paper, that's fine. This may be something they want to just practice each of the lessons instead of then translating it into a paper. Okay, so let's get an example. And I'm going to read a very quick kind of excerpt here in our TWSS, and then we're going to go through this process. And we're going to do this in class using lesson 1, which is the story on Columbus. We're going to go over that in class, but I'm going to go over this example here. So it's the fox and the grapes. It says, a hungry fox saw a bunch of ripe grapes. They dangled high up on a vine. He jumped and he jumped, but could not reach them. He said, I'll bet those grapes are sour anyway. All right, so that's the story. So then what we do is after you've read that, your student may want to read that a couple times just to kind of understand the information. So here's an example of what a KWO is. So then your student would look at the very first line and it says, a hungry fox saw a bunch of ripe grapes. What I recommend is the student taking a highlighter or a pen and underlining or highlighting the 3 main words or the main concept of that line. For instance, we see the word hungry. So on the very first, we would write hungry. Then what do we have to have? We have to have a comma, right? Then we saw that, what did the fox do? He saw, right? So he saw what? He saw ripe grapes. Well, I could write the word ripe, but look, that's all I have. That's all the last, I've got 3 words. I can't have any more. So what I might want to do is draw some grapes. See how quickly I'm drawing? And I drew them faster than I could probably write the word grapes. Okay, so that's line number 1. Then we go down to the second line. This is so tiny, I have to pull it up so close. They dangled high up on a vine. What are the 3 main words that I may hear there? Your student may say, well, dangled. That's a pretty important word. What did they do? They dangled. Where did they dangle? They dangled high. Your student may want to put maybe an arrow saying that it's high. They may choose to do that. Everybody's KWOs are going to look different. And they dangled on a vine. All right, I've got my 3 words there. I've pretty much summarized that sentence. We'll move on. The next sentence says, they jumped and jumped, but could not reach them. What did they do? Jumped is pretty important, right? We're picking out what we find is most important. They jumped, but could not. This is a really important symbol, the not symbol. You could either say not reach, or you could even, this is another example, you could say reach, but they couldn't reach. That would be another way that you could write that. All right, then we're at the very last sentence, and it says, he said, I bet those grapes are sour anyway. All right, so what did the fox say? He said that he thought the sour anyway. Or we could put the grapes again. You could have put your grape symbol again if you'd like. I bet those grapes were sour anyway. All right? Okay, So we've gone through the story. We've gone in this unit, these 2 units, we go line by line. That is going to change per unit. We're not going to go line by line always. So we've gone line by line for the source texts. Now we've created a KWO, our keyword outline. And now the next step is for your child the next day. So this would be day 1. So this would be on Wednesday. You would create your KWO. Thursday, you want your child to be able to go back and read this to you without using the source text, without referring back to the source text. Okay, so the child would then come to you and say, let me see. We may even had to put, so anyway, so you might want to even put like a fox, and sometimes I'll put, if there's a character in the story, I'll put the word in circle. So your child may say, a hungry fox saw ripe grapes. They were dangling high in the vine. He jumped but could not reach them. He said they were sour anyway. So your child has now come back the second day, and he's now been able to read that back to you without looking at the source text, okay? So if your child's not able to say back the story and make sense, then they've probably not chosen the right symbols, words, or numbers and abbreviations for their KWO. They may need to go back and refer back to the source text and redo maybe one of the lines if they're having trouble interpreting what they wrote. So if they've got like a really weird symbol and they're like, I don't know why I wrote that, they may need to go back to the source text and be like, oh, the sun was shining, or something like that. They need to be able to understand what their symbol meant. Okay, so they've retold it to you on day 3, I guess maybe day 2. And at this point, you can choose to do a rough draft, or if that is as far as you want to go for the first unit, that's fine. What they would then do is the next day is begin to start writing a rough draft. So that is now turning these sentences in, these KWOs, these symbols, into sentences and writing them down. Again, you guys can write with, you can write your papers or you may type them, whatever you prefer. Okay, so now we are at day 3. You've started writing your rough draft. And now day 4, you're gonna come along and your child's gonna read through their paper, their rough draft, and they're gonna make any edits that they feel is needed. Is their punctuation incorrect? Capitalization, spelling, any of those things, you're gonna make changes to their rough draft. This is also when parents, you can come in and read and be their editor as well. Come alongside them and help them and show them where they've made mistakes. Now here's the biggest thing about this, parents, is what I like to say, it's hands-on structure, but hands-off content. So if they put something in their paper, leave it. Okay, that's something they felt was important or they thought was interesting. You may not, but they do. So we don't want to add anything or take anything out. We just want to change and help with the structure. If they're not structurally understanding the material or not doing the process correctly, please help them with that. But the actual content, we want them to be able to put in what they feel is important and how they want to say it. Okay, so when you have it all said and done, you're going to have what would appear similar to the source text, but it's not going to sound exactly like the source text because it's in their own words, and that's the beauty of the KWO. It gives you that ability and those tools to create a similar paper, but without like sounding exactly like the source text. So we're giving them the tools to be successful in writing the paper. We've given them their source text where they don't have to come up with the content on their own, but then they're able to have this great tool of this KWO to be able to rewrite their paper. So then we're day, what would it be, day 5? Are we on day 4? Whatever we are, the very last day before co-op day is when you want to start adding in your dress up. So when I said structure is the blueprint of our writing, that's the KWO. Now our style is all the stylistic techniques that we call dress ups. So what we'll discuss in class is how like a child may put on a costume or put on jewelry and keep adding on more and more to change kind of their character and to become this neat, fantasy. they are adding on these dress ups. That's what we're gonna do to these papers. So the very first week, and I won't go over all the dress ups in videos, I'll just give them to you in a post on band, but I'll go ahead, since I'm here, and explain what this week is, and it's LY adverbs. If you'll look on page 22 of your history-based writing guide, you also have the option of purchasing this portable wall, which I can give you a link to. There's several ideas or lists of LY adverbs on here as well. This is just a dress up that's going to help to add to the paper. And so we'll discuss what an adverb is and how it kind of adds to your paper, but also in your student's guide, they will have access on page 23 to do like a worksheet to learn how to add in LY adverbs correctly. So that's something they can work on at home on another day. Maybe on the day that they retell you the KWO, you might want to be that day that they work on their worksheets because you'll have a little extra time. But that's going to be what they call style practice in their workbooks. Okay, so they're going to add LY adverbs. So the very last day, you're going to get a final draft where you've gotten all your edits corrected, you've added your dress ups, you've made sure everything looks good. With the paper, we do use MLA format. So when you're writing your child's name, the final draft, the date, it'll all be in MLA format. And with the margins and everything correct according to that style. Last but not least, I do want to tell you that in your teacher guide, just so that you know, each week you kind of have, I say kind of like a cheat sheet for us moms that can kind of tell you where they were wanting to kind of guide you with the KWO. Now your child's is going to be completely different and everybody's going to be able to do what they feel is best. However, this kind of gives you a little bit of a guide and answer key to what the KWO may entail. So you can always refer to the teacher's guide to get kind of the answers to the KWO for each of the source texts. So this first week, we have lesson 1 and lesson 2 that are assigned. Lesson 1 may just be, we're gonna work on it in class. They may wanna go home and redo it as practice, go through this process at home. And then lesson 2, they may wanna do the KWO, but then actually write the paper on the lesson 2. Lesson 2 is the Spanish explorers arrive in America. So they may wanna actually do the KWO for that one and read and turn it into an actual rough draft and final draft at that point. Okay, so all the resources that you have to kind of learn what each of the units are your TWSS moms. You'll want to refer to this each unit. When we switch a unit, it'll have some information, and then your writing-based history writing lessons here. Your teacher's guide will give you each of the lessons that we're on. You can read further into that as well. So this is for units 1 and 2. Please feel free to reach out to me, ask any questions, any things that you may not be clear on. I would love to answer any questions. Just let me know how your kids are doing, and I'll see you back for unit 3. Thanks.